Good afternoon, friends. My name is Jonathan Moyer, and I am one of the Associate Directors of Music here at the Church of the Covenant, and it gives me pleasure to welcome you here for our Tuesday noon Organ Plus concert. I would like to welcome those who are here in person in the sanctuary and those who can join us online via our live stream. We welcome you here for this moment of music on a beautiful but slightly cloudy day here in Cleveland. Every day is beautiful when we have the opportunity to listen to such wonderful music. We welcome our organist today, Evan de Jong, who is an organ major at the Oberlin Conservatory of Music. You can read about him in your program. He's going to explain a few things about the pieces on today's program. We get to hear a very unusual work that is seldom played. And it's very exciting to hear this today on the Newberry organ, and he'll tell you about that in a moment. If this is your first time joining us here in person or online, please consider filling in our visitor survey if you would like to know more about what happens here at the Church of the Covenant. We have these in the narthex. If you put your name and email address on there, we can add you to our weekly email newsletter. If you're joining us online, please visit our website, covenantweb.org, where you can learn more about events and how to sign up for our newsletter. Following our concert today, join us in the narthex for a moment of greeting our artist and also enjoying some freshly prepared cookies by some of our volunteers here at the church. Next week will be our last concert, Tuesday noon concert for this year, for the year of 2024. We will take a break on December 24th, Christmas Eve, and on December 31st. Now, of course, on December 24th, there will be events taking place here at the church. So if you don't want to join us at noon, join us here in the evening, where there will be a beautiful candlelight service that takes place here, featuring the organs and the choirs and liturgy and lots of candles. It's a beautiful service here at the Church of the Covenant. It will be live streamed as well, so we hope you can join us for that special night. It's one of my favorite services of the whole year, so I hope you can be a part of it. So I'd like to turn the microphone over to Evan de Jong. He's going to tell you a little bit about the music in today's program.
So, hello everybody. Good to see everyone here. Before I start playing, I'm going to say a few things about the two pieces that we're going to hear today. We have two works, one by Johann Sebastian Bach, who I believe is a familiar name to many here, and then we have a work by Johann Adam Reinken, who is perhaps a less familiar name. There is an interesting historical connection between these two figures. We know that Bach in his younger years was inspired very much by the work of northern German organists such as Dietrich Buxtehude and Johann Adam Reinken. We know that in 1705 Bach actually walked across Germany on foot to go visit Buxtehude in the northern German city of Lübeck, where he learned quite a bit. Later in life, in 1720, Bach auditioned for the post of organist at St. James Church in Hamburg, and it was here that he met Johann Adam Reinken. It is thought that Bach improvised a long chorale fantasia on An Wasserfluss in Babylon, much like the fantasia by Reinken that we're going to hear today. It is thought that Reinken approached Bach after his audition, and Reinken said that, "I thought this art was dead, but I see that it lives on in you." What is probably meant by this is that Reinken was a great exponent of a tradition of improvising lengthy works at the organ based on liturgical tunes. And this practice, by the time Bach was in the middle of his career, was dying off. And yet Bach came to Hamburg and auditioned and improvised something quite similar to what organists of prior generations would have been familiar with. Looking at the Bach Fantasia and Fugue, which will be the first piece on the program today, this is very much a piece in the Stilus Fantasticus, or fantastic style. And what this means is that we have a work that juxtaposes very structured and mathematical and contrapuntal sections with sections that are very exuberant and quite rhetorical. They contain many sort of surprising gestures that have a bit of a rhetorical effect, much like, you know, a sudden interjection in a rhetorical spoken oration. This piece very much takes the form of a rhetorical speech in the sense that we have several sections that each seem to delineate and refute different ideas. So we have at the beginning what some musicologists would call an exordium, which is a Latin term referring to the opening section of an argument in which ideas and statements are laid out in a way that grabs the listener's attention. And from there we then have some more intricate sections that have a lot of counterpoints, and these are similar to the delineation of ideas or arguments. After the Fantasia, we have the fugue in G minor. This is one of Bach's most popular fugues, as evidenced by the fact that there are numerous extant manuscripts where this fugue can be found. So it seems as though it was a big hit. It's quite likely the case that the Fantasia and the fugue did not originally go together. There is only one 18th century manuscript in which these two pieces appear side by side. And so it's quite likely that because of this manuscript, it over time became a tradition to simply play the two pieces together, although they don't really have any sort of musical ideas in common. They're simply both in G minor. The fugue subject is thought to be based on a Dutch folk song. And this is quite interesting because if we revisit this fact that Bach auditioned in Hamburg and met Reinken there, we might recall the fact that Reinken grew up in the Netherlands, though he was German. And so it's quite possible that Bach actually played this fugue in G minor at the Hamburg audition as well as his improvisation. And the fugue was quite possibly a sort of homage or tribute to Johann Reinken, who maybe would have been familiar with this tune from his youth. Looking at Reinken's piece now, this is a great example of the North German chorale fantasia genre. This is a very sort of strange and esoteric style that was really idiomatic to the cities in northern Germany and these very accomplished, learned organists who worked there. This piece is the longest example of a chorale fantasia, and it seems to suggest the existence of a tradition in which organists were very frequently improvising long and quite intricate works based on liturgical melodies. These pieces are very idiomatic to the North German organ, which had many separate divisions of pipes in different places, and it had a full pedal board that you could play quite advanced footwork on. And so these works often have solo and accompaniment textures, which sort of mimics a singer with maybe some instruments playing underneath. And it also has echoes. It has many echoes, where we have a louder sound on one manual, and then it is echoed exactly by a softer sound on another keyboard. The Fantasia on Ein Wasserfluss in Babylon sort of just continues on for quite some time, and it goes through many different affects and different moods, and it's really a quite expansive piece. It's quite, I think, emblematic of Reinken's rather exuberant character. There are several extant portraits of Reinken where he's always sort of standing like this in this very sort of self-satisfied way. And I think that even though this Fantasia is based on a lamentative chorale, it's of course the chorale by the rivers of Babylon, we sat down and wept. Reinken sets it in a very exuberant way. So there are some very sort of lachrymose sections in the work, but it ultimately is quite bold and extrovert in its character. I'm looking forward very much to playing on this fantastic instrument. I had the thought today while I was preparing that Reinken would surely have approved of this organ because it speaks so quickly and so wonderfully, and it has such a wonderful temperament and a wonderful tone color. And we know that Reinken was really fastidious about keeping the organ at his job at St. Catherine's in Hamburg in tip-top shape. So I like to think that he would approve of my attempt at rendering this work on this wonderful organ. Without further ado, I'm going to traipse back there and start playing. Thank you all.